to the cloud. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about phishing because it's a very important topic. It's a hot topic, and it is especially, if you use the internet, it is relevant to you. Doesn't matter how often or what, like where you're from or how old you are, what, it doesn't matter. It's going to be relevant to you. So before we begin, let me just open. Can somebody tell me what phishing is? What's like the definition of phishing?
Trying to get your personal data.
Trying to get your personal data. Okay, yeah, that's true. That's one thing.
Hacking, like a hack.
Yeah, or like hacking. Now, actually, so phishing is more of a method than it is like an end goal, if that makes sense. So
it's when somebody evil sends you an email and asks you to click somewhere, and by clicking where they say, then you're allowing that evil person or organization to ruin you.
yeah, a lot of the time it's exactly that, especially an email where they say, hey, click this link. Now, the thing specifically about phishing is that phishing isn't just click this link. It's, hello, I'm a legitimate source. Please click this link. So phishing isn't just trying to ascertain your information or getting you to click a link. It is both of those things most of the time. But it's under the nefarious guise of pretending to be someone else. So there's almost like a creative design aspect of that. This is almost like a spy movie because they will take their emails and they will try their best to make them look like the real deal. So think about it. If you get an email from, I don't know, maybe you booked a flight with United Airlines. If you get an email from United Airlines, it's going to have some like key features a United Airlines email would have. So at the top, it'll have their logo. It will say like a flight confirmation number. There will be no grammatical mistakes. Or there might be like one, if that.
Take your glasses off the layer.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. There might be like maybe one grammatical mistake, but it's rare that an official corporate email would have a grammatical mistake. So what phishing is really, it's the fraudulent practice of sending emails purporting to be from reputable companies in order to induce individuals to reveal personal information, such as passwords and credit card numbers. So
only email?
I would actually say no. Like most of the time when people are saying phishing, they're referring to email scams. But this concept of pretending to be someone legitimate in order to do something shady goes beyond email. And you'll see that towards the end of the lecture. So phishing is almost like a Trojan horse. They approach you as a legitimate source of information or as like somebody legitimately trying to message you. But in reality, they are just trying to ascertain your information in a very shady way, right? So what does a phishing email look like? Now, I know the text is small here. You don't need to, I'm gonna go over the different parts of this specific email that are shady, and it'll be zoomed in, so don't worry about that. But this is a great example of an email that was sent to me that is a phishing email. Now, this was sent to my cornell.edu address. I have two email addresses. I have my personal one, which I just made with Google. I made it when I was like 10. And I have my academic email, which is my cornell.edu email. And you might have something similar. You might have a personal email address, and then you might have another email address granted to you by the organization you work for. So if you have a job with, I don't know, Google or Weill Cornell, they might give you an email address like Diane something at weillcornell.edu, right? So I have two different email addresses. Typically, email addresses granted to you from organizations such as academic institutions or big companies will have stronger security, because as you receive emails to that address, your company is more fervently kicking out things it thinks is spam. But it doesn't always catch it. So for example, Cornell is pretty good at catching spam. For this lecture, I went to my email inbox. I went to the spam part of my Cornell inbox. And within the last month, I only got, I think, 9 spam emails, out of which maybe 5 were actually false positives. So they weren't actually spam. It's just that Cornell categorized them as spam. But there was some legitimate scamming in my inbox. So let's take a look at this email. So I'm going to go ahead and read this to you. So this is from somebody named, I don't really know how to pronounce this, but it's from somebody, and their email address is something@gmail.com. Now, why is that weird? Well, let's go ahead and let's read the body of the email. So it says, the Cornell University Department of Computer Science urgently requires the services of student research assistants to work remotely and get paid $350 weekly. The research position is open to students from any department of the institution, and tasks can be carried out remotely. To proceed with the application process, contact Professor Joe Halpern, and then they say an email address, which is another gmail.com email address, starting with your full name, email address, year of study, and department to receive the job description and further application requirements. Best regards, CO Professor Joe Halpern, title Professor and Assistant Chairperson, Department of Computer Science, Cornell University. Now, I read that to you. Has anybody already caught something weird?
Sounds too good to be true.
So why does it sound too good to be true?
That salary, yeah, everything is, I mean, I'm a skeptic.
Good. In this round, good. Yeah. So that salary, what about the salary?
It's out of range.
We have $350 weekly for what might be like supposedly 4 hours of clerical work. That's insane.
Right.
It's almost $100 an hour. It's insane. So that's one thing. A lot of the time, these emails will include money, either threats of give me your money, or politely asking you to give you their money or give them your money, or offering you money. Sometimes they will offer you money. Money is oftentimes a part of a phishing email, the explicit discussion of money. Notice how within the first sentence of the body of the email, they're already dropping $350 weekly. That's just said immediately. Corporations or institutions, when they email you about money, it's almost kind of annoying. You have to dig into the email to see if they're actually going to include a dollar amount. Sometimes it's buried underneath paragraphs of legalese or polite, whatever. Here they just lead with $350 weekly. Now, what are the details we can notice? You guys pointed out an excellent detail, which is the involvement of money. Kind of a red flag, but there are many things in this email, and I will go over all of them, that are pretty shady. So, hi.
Hi, sorry to wait.
No, all good, all good. I'm glad you could join us. We're going over phishing scams today. So we're gonna do some detective work together.
They talk about they're gonna send the job description after you give them your.
Information. Yes, exactly. They're not leading with the job information. They're waiting for me to send personal information first. Okay. So I'm gonna go over all of these details, but here are some things I picked up. One, it's a big, first of all, a lot of the time when you open these emails, depending on what service you're using, Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, whatever, a lot of the time, they'll just straight up tell you at the very top of the email, this is probably spam. So you can see this big gray banner at the top says, why is this message in spam? It is similar to messages that were identified as spam in the past. So Google, for example, has artificial intelligence built into Gmail, and its entire job is to use smart computations to pick out what it thinks is and is not spam. Is it always accurate? No. Sometimes spam gets into your inbox, or sometimes legitimate emails get into your spam, but it does a pretty good job. So first of all, if your inbox is telling you this is probably spam, at least approach it skeptically. It's not always spam. Sometimes it's actually real, but this is a pretty big red flag, or I guess big gray flag. Another, the email address. The email address of origin is, Fukdeen6@gmail.com, and I'm probably mispronouncing that wrong. Or I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, so my apologies. But we can see this is coming from some gmail.com address. And not only that, but it is addressed to me. It is addressed specifically to me. It is BCC to me. Does anybody know what BCCing is? Something, yeah. But what is it? But what does it do? If you BCC someone in an email, what does that do?
That's so other people don't see it, only you see it.
Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. So if I BCC an email to everybody in this room, you will not be able to see that I sent it to Diane, for example. And none of you will be able to see that I sent it to anybody else. To you, it looks as though I kind of emailed it to you directly. So BCCing maintains the privacy of everybody the email is being sent to, which sounds good, and it is important in some scenarios. Like, for example, I teach high schoolers. If I'm going to send a mass email out to my high schoolers, I will do it with BCC, because it's, kids and their privacy is extremely important. So I don't want to make it so you can see other students' emails. But this is weird. This isn't like, it says we need the services of a student. So then why not just email it to the entire alias?
And what about that urgently?
Urgently is another big thing. I didn't even really catch that, but urgently makes it sound as though, well, it's urgent. So you should use less caution, right? But already the Gmail, the big thing I want to focus on here is the gmail.com address. This is supposedly from somebody at Cornell. Why isn't it a cornell.edu address? If it were somebody from Cornell addressing another Cornellian, they would have used their cornell.edu address. Official. That's why it's important. I will not write emails to my professors using my gmail.com address, because more than likely Cornell won't even show it to them. It'll just go to their spam. So that's a big red flag. This person is using a normal gmail.com address instead of the email address of the domain. Next, we notice a few weird, not really grammatical mistakes. Grammatically, this email is actually pretty good, but there is weird spacing.
Yeah, the money sign.
For example, yeah, you can see the sentences are, there's weird spacing, like it's sentence, enter,
Like a jerk did.
right, yeah. And you pointed out exactly what I noticed. The $sign is separated from the 350. Again, if you're getting a text from somebody and they do that, it's whatever, because it's just text messages. But in emails, things are a little bit more formal. So the spacing is weird. The $sign is disconnected from the 350. Here, where it says Professor Joe Halpern, by the way, another Gmail address, not a Cornell. They say, here's Joe Halpern's email, and then it's just some random Gmail address. You'll notice the email is separated from the parentheses with another space. Again, kind of weird. And at the very bottom of the email, we have title, professor, space, and space, ampersand, space. It's weird. And so those are some of the details I noticed. So first of all, again, if this is if your inbox is saying this, big red flag. Sometimes it's wrong, but that's a red flag. Another thing, this is not from a Cornell email, and it was BCC'd directly to me. Weird. Now, this is the part where this is like honestly the best way to tell if something is phishing is through like cross-checking the officiality of email addresses and links. So let's focus on this tigern641@gmail.com. Okay, so We're gonna do some detective work. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, I have some noir music to play. It's very loud. Okay. So let's put on some detective music. Let's do some detective work together. Now, Joe Halpern at tigern641@gmail.com. It's a little weird. So what did I do? I went ahead and I actually Googled Joe Halpern, or Halpern, however you pronounce his name. Now, here we can see Joe Halpern is actually a professor at Cornell. And I went to his website at cs.cornell.edu, right? A very legitimate source. And here's a lovely picture of him from who knows when. And in the email, or underneath his portrait, he includes some basic information about himself. He works in the computer science department. Here is his address. Here is his phone number. And here is his email address. halpern@cs.cornell.edu. These do not match. We can see that. These absolutely do not match. This is a big red flag.
But you have to do that.
I did.
But it's kind of common sense.
It is. The more you encounter threats like these, the less you'll rely on research and the more it just becomes intuition. When I get emails like this, I know within 10 seconds that it's a phishing scam. But that's because I've seen a billion of them before. So this is a big red flag. Okay. Now, the thing is, in December, I got an extremely similar email. There was a slight difference. I mean, you'll notice it's very similar. It says, we need to urgently require the services of student research assistants. They will get paid $350 weekly. Contact Joe Halpern. This poor guy. They keep using his identity. But notice how here, they were actually a little bit smarter. They did not use an email address. So it's actually less obvious. Here they say, contact the professor by texting him at this phone number. By the way, weird. That's already weird. Texting someone at a phone number is a little bit informal, especially within an academic setting. Like texting a professor is a lot less formal than sending an actual email. So that's weird. But look, I'm in grad school. I bleed money every week. So when I see $350 weekly, you know I'm gonna be like, all right, you know what? This is probably a scam. The Lord knows if it's not, I am not passing that up. So I got this email and I texted a number in December. Now here's what they told me. These messages are back from back then, like 2-3 months ago. He introduced himself supposedly as this professor, blah, 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 blah. And he didn't actually ask for anything that weird at first. He essentially asked me to do some clerical work. So first, what he wanted me to do, we look at the picture on the left, he said, here's what the department wants you to inquire on. Essentially, he wanted me to go to a Target or an Office Max, and he wanted me to look at what the price was on these 3 items. An Acer TravelMate P60 whatever laptop, some laser monochrome printer, and a Costco printer self-inking date stamp. Okay, he wanted me to go to a Target or something and look at the prices of those. Now, I have a few alarms in my head that ring that say, this is a phishing scam, this is a phishing scam. And one of them would have been, okay, send us money now and we'll send you more money later, or something like that. But that's not what this was. This was just him saying, hey, go to a Target and tell me what the prices are of these things, which I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird, stupid work, but I mean, if it's for $350, I'll do it. You can confirm from stores around you as well. This office items, notice the weird grammar. This office items are assigned to you by the department to carry out tasks subsequently. Confirm the availability and prices. Submit here the prices information.
But it doesn't say, you know, it's telling you to do it and give you the information, but it's not telling you how to get your money.
That's very true. He doesn't lead with how I'm going to get paid. How soon can you visit the store? And you know, me being me, I was just like, oh, I can go tomorrow. Then 1 or 2 days later, or even the same day, I don't actually remember. He says, hello, Augustine, are you there? And I say, yes, I am. And at this point, I had talked with my friend. Oh, actually, no. You'll see, I was a lot more skeptical by the time of this exchange here, and you'll see why in a moment. But it says, hello, Augustine, are you there? And I say, yes, I am. And then he says, a sales rep has been contacted and the office items are booked awaiting payment. Can you assist making payments for the office items now? You get reimbursed. They want me to pay for these items. They want me to go.
That is funny.
What's that?
The only thing that I am very skeptical about is that when I'm looking for the price item of something, I Google it myself.
Why would you go to a store? Why do you want me to tread all the way over to a Target?
I mean, the internet has everything.
Yeah, seriously. I live in suburbia, so if I want to go check the price on this for like I don't know, I could go to Target on like 32nd Street. Like that's not that bad. Like go take the train. Suburbia, I gotta waddle over to my car and I gotta drive.
They
And,
get a lot of money.
If they're
Yes.
able to contact you, they're able to actually get this information by themselves on the internet.
yes, they are. That's very, very, very true. Or if they really needed to, they could like drive a car and look at a department store. And these are the kinds of questions you should be asking yourself. Like, okay,
Why me?
why me? This is very weird clerical work you're having me do, right? For $350, they wanted me to go to a Target and look at the price.
They don't tell you when to sign in, when you started.
What kind of things were, how I get paid, whatever.
How much time it took you to do it so you could.
There's no officiality. There's no W-2 I have to sign. There's nothing like that. They just throw me into it. No, but that's not even the big thing. The big thing is go buy these items for us. That's what this message boils down to. Go and buy a laptop and 2 printers.
No, but even if you did that and you bought these things,
Mm-hmm.
how are they gonna get the money?
Who knows? I didn't go that far. What I did though, I kind of messed with them a little bit. So they asked me to buy these items. And so I said, sure, give me the card information. So I basically said, all right, I'll buy them. Just give me your card information. I'll go buy them for you. And then he says, you can assist. You will be reimbursed. And I said, sure, send me your card information and I'll send you the money.
Good for you. And what happened then?
And then he never responded.
What if the English and the grammar is good?
If it's immaculate, it's trickier. It's trickier, but there are still methods. You should always apply
It
a
doesn't
healthy
make
dose
sense.
of skepticism. It's even if the English is perfect, the situation is still weird.
That's a weird situation, right?
It is a weird situation. The issue is when they have perfect grammar, they have some like 007 scheme that they're trying to involve you in, you're not even gonna know. How do you notice in that case? There are still red flags that you can see, and you'll see in a moment. So so you'll notice I was a lot more like peppy and like ready to work in this first frame. And in the second frame, I was like, all right, buddy, give me your credit card. I was a lot more skeptical. You might be wondering what happened in between these 2 frames that led me to be so much more skeptical. Well, you remember Joe Helpford? I emailed him.
I was gonna say, did you alert this poor guy?
Yes, I did. So I said, good evening, Professor. I recently received a few messages about working as a research assistant for a few weeks for the CS department. A Dr. Owens, BCC emailed me from owens101@gmail.com, very weird, writing the following email. And then I quoted the email. I said, I'm under the impression this email might be a scam due to it originating from an @gmail.com address. The phone number also doesn't match what's displayed on your Cornell homepage. So I emailed him. And again, let's think about this. On the tiny little off chance that this isn't a scam, it's just a very silly clerical job where I can get paid a decent amount of money per week. So I don't want to go into the email and be like, Professor, this is a scam, because if it wasn't a scam, he'd be offended and I wouldn't get the job, whatever. Thing is, it was a scam. Because he responded pretty soon after, I'm afraid this is a scam, Augustine, and no, the telephone number isn't mine.
Did he thank you?
No. This was the entirety of his response. But there, he responded quickly, at least, I think within the hour. And that was at like 5:37 p.m. So by the time I get this text at 6:28 p.m., I'm like, all right, okay, I know this is a scam. It's too good to be true, right?
But is there something in the fact that you, as a Cornell student, are getting this email? Is the breach or the theft or the fraud?
It's a great question.
Is it general or for all of us?
You'll see, I actually have a screenshot of an email that I got kind of like this addressed to my personal account. So I would be willing to wager whoever's responsible for this particular scheme is specifically targeting Cornell or Ivy League students. Because here it says the Cornell University Department of Computer Science, blah, 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 and then they name a Cornell professor. Maybe there's another version of this for Columbia students, where they name a Columbia professor. But this is specifically targeted. Now, how the hell he got my Cornell address, who knows?
Your name.
My name, well, he didn't know my name at the beginning. I told him my name. I didn't tell him anything too bad. I told him my name and like my program at Cornell. But he knew my email, which is a little weird.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. How did he know your email?
That I don't know. I don't know how he got AGF at Cornell, AGF 48 at Cornell AE. I don't know how he did that. The other thing too, he BCC'd me, which means he probably BCC'd like 1,000 other students.
Where do you see these?
So you'll notice in the original email that he sent me, Dr. Owens to BCC me. Yeah. So he messaged it to me, but he also very well could have messaged it to thousands of other students, right? I reported this to the like IT desk or whoever it was. I reported it to them as a scam. But I mean, this screenshot is from December 26th. And this screenshot is from like a week ago.
You got another one?
I got another one,
From him.
Another.
probably the same exact party.
Yeah.
So Cornell needs to do something about that, clearly. Now, I almost fell for it. Yeah.
IT wise, if it's blind carbon copy to 1,000 students, does it mean it's tagged on to someone else's email originally to get do they get names by doing that, by using someone else's email?
Well, I'm not sure if I understand the question, but
I'm trying to track down your scammer. And
right.
I see blinds BCC.
Uh-huh.
Is he using, what do I want to say? Is he somehow tagging on to an original person's email to get their contact?
Well, we don't know. We don't know. To be honest with you, we don't. That's a question of how they ascertained the information in the first place. But you can BCC. You can actually write an email. Typically, when you write an email, you have the title, the body. You have the title, the body, and then who it's addressed to. Normally, when you write an email, you'll address it to one person, but you can also CC people. So if you're not sending it directly to them, but you want them to see that you sent the email, you'll CC them. So for example, if I'm emailing a TA for a class, I'll CC the professor, so the professor has proof that I sent the TA the message. BCC, you don't have to do anything else. You can message it to nobody and only BCC it to a bunch of people. So I don't know actually how they got this information. And was there a question in the back?
I wanted to ask you, I don't know if I'm watching too much TV. Is it true that, like, for instance, hackers can kind of target and find out the IP addresses of certain things?
Yeah. But I'm in a class about security right now. IP addresses alone are not enough to cause substantial damage unless they really mean business.
I mean, I work for Health and Hospitals Corporation, and they were constantly updating their
Yeah, they
information.
change.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So it's hard for them to really track these, what I was told.
IP addresses are not a permanent identifier. They typically change for a home user. So for example, in your apartment or your house or whatever, your router will update its IP address every like 4 to 6 months or something like that. Yeah. A much more secure organization might do it every day. Yeah. And the IP address on its own isn't really enough to do a whole lot of damage. You can, but it's expensive. So if someone really, and even with an IP address, yeah.
There was an update on my iPhone, and when I updated the software, it asked me if I wanted to protect the address. I didn't know how to not accept. I didn't know what to do, so I exited out. I didn't make a choice. Then I called Apple support, and they said it really doesn't matter because this address is going to change all the time.
Yep.
So I was so confused by that.
Yeah, that's a confusing interaction. We should have been more clear. But
By not choosing anything.
it might have, Apple devices are great for security. I will say that.
And I couldn't go back to that screen because I asked him if I could go back to that screen to make my choice, and he said no.
Yeah, well, IP addresses, truth be told, aren't that hard to ascertain if you really go looking for them. But at the same time, you can't completely down a system using nothing but an IP address. So it's okay.
He told me to not worry.
It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So, to move on, what else might a phishing scam look like? So, I got that first email I showed you, I got that on the 22nd. Here's an email from the 25th, 3 days later. And it is from a Dr. William at brianwells2303@gmail.com. Again, now can one of you guys tell me, is this a red flag, yes or no? Yes. Because of what? If this was really a doctor from Cornell, what would it be?
Cornell, EDU, Cornell.
Brian dot what? Brian Dr. I don't know, Brian Williams at cornell.edu. That would have been what it would have been, but it's not, right? So that's our first red flag. Then we have the big gray banner of death, Gmail saying, nope, this is bad. Sometimes that banner will be red. That's a big red flag. If sometimes your inbox will paint this banner red, which is saying this is probably bad. Do not engage. By the way, listen to me very closely. If you're skeptical about an email, do not click any link in the email. Do not click any image in the email. Do not interact with anything in the email. Don't even highlight the text. Treat that email like it's a stick of plutonium. You just don't touch anything that is a crime scene.
My daughter tells me that all the time.
You do not touch a single thing. You do not load a single image. If there is a little button at the bottom that has a Facebook logo, you do not click the Facebook logo. You do not touch anything. It is a murder scene. You don't touch anything. Believe me. Why? Because that link, that photo, could go to some link on the internet that's completely not what you expect. Or there is, I don't mean to scare you, but there is instances in which people have not even downloaded a photo from an email. All they did was click on it to display it in their browser, but that's already more than enough. In doing so, in displaying the email in their browser, they have already implicitly downloaded something that screws up their device. So I'm telling you, if you are skeptical about an email, you do not touch anything in the email aside from the button to take you back to your inbox. Okay, now, cool. I hope you were listening to that. Now, here again, we have contact Dr. Brian E. de Alessandro. By the way, we keep getting random different names. We have Brian Wells here. We have Brian E. de Alessandro over here. We have Dr. William. I don't know. We have a bunch of different things. Again, at some random email address. Now, something too, which is funny, is something these guys will do is they will try very hard to look legitimate. So one thing they could do is they could pretend to be someone they're not, or they could pretend to be something that doesn't exist but sounds official. So what do I mean by that? Let's look at this. Here at the bottom it says title Tech, Cornell Tech Whitney, WITNY. What? I don't know. I go to school there.
First of all, I would never say title when I'm closing. I would
I know.
only give tech.
Title, you would just include it.
Yeah.
You know? There's some, it's not like even bad grammar, but there's just like, I don't know if you call it like dialectical choices or, but there's like things here that like a person, the format's weird. The format's very weird. And again, there's no Whitney at Cornell. I don't know what that is. Whitney? That might be a lab. No, it's not a lab. I literally go to school there. There's no such thing as Cornell Tech Whitney. It's a made up thing. They will make up things that sound official so that if you then try to look those things up, it won't come up. Oh, but the only reason it's not coming up is because it's kind of a, it's I don't know, it's like a low, okay. They make up something that doesn't exist and then you Google it and you can't find it. Then you might think, oh, it's just something that's so in a department that you just don't have access to it. But treat that with skepticism. So,
If you ignore these, what happens?
nothing. You should ignore them. You should not engage. Do not reply. Do not engage. Yeah.
Why does it say on the very top, learn and turn with ease and then the arrow spam? Does that
So
right?
this here, this is Gmail sorted it into my spam inbox. Spam was not in the name of the email. That would have been pretty funny though.
Yeah.
They just said
Why is that
spam. But honest, yeah,
Do you all have a stack email?
probably. If you have, do you use like Gmail? Yes, you
How
do.
would I know?
Well, do you know how to access your different inboxes? On the side, I can show you at the end.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
No, all good, all good. And then also the title is weird. This is really excited for a professor. Learn and earn with ease, and then 3 exclamation points. Like that's like super, like calm down, buddy. You know, what else might it look like? Okay. Here's another example from a supposed Dr. Frederick, Charles Foster 3000 at gmail.com. We're seeing a trend here. This is from 10 days ago. We have an all caps title. Again, red flag, not gonna lie. Part-time job opportunity for a student with a worthwhile pay, period. And then here, it's not the exact same body as this. Like we've seen this format so many times where it's like $350 weekly. There's a space in between the $sign and the 350. This is slightly different. It says recent applications are currently unfurled for the position of a research assistant to give clerical support at Cornell University for undergraduates and graduate students to work remotely and within flexible periods. Blah, 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 blah. Remuneration, $350. They really like this amount. But again, same thing. Offering an absurd amount of money for something that's definitely not worth that much money. And all the same red flags are there. The weird grammar, the shady email address, the 300, the very explicit discussion of money. All right, what else might it look like? So all those emails I just sent you were emails sent to my Cornell address. Here's an email that was sent to my personal address. Now, if you think those emails were bad, the spam inbox on my personal Gmail is like a hellscape. Like it's like, look, because I've been using that email for years. I've made so many accounts with that email. God knows which one of those got their data leaked. And like not even like my password was leaked. It was at certain points. It was leaked. But even if they just leak my email, more than enough. If they leak my email even once, that means my email is on some stupid marketplace somewhere and people will pay money to buy a list of emails, including mine, so that they can then spam BS like this. That's just what they do. This is a facet of the shadier parts of the internet. Now, this wasn't sent to my Cornell address, but we can see that the contents are pretty similar. And I hope I'm not giving you the idea that this is always what a phishing scam does, because sometimes a phishing scam will be something like, hi, this is the US Census Bureau. We need to update your social security number on file. And it will have a nice shiny logo at the top. The grammar will be perfect. And then it will take you to some like armpit of the internet where they ask you to put in your social security number. Don't. So here it says, are you looking for a job to make money while you go about your daily routine, blah, 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 $500 to $700 a week. All right, let's look. So if we look at the different details of this email, we see there is an offer for you, which is again, kind of weird grammar. The space between 500 and 700, if you are interested or know anyone who is interested, capital P, please do not reply to this email. Instead, send resumes to Deborah. And then I won't even look at this. I'm not even going to bother with this address. Like, I mean, just look at it. It's an abomination. There's a space between. Look, why is there a space between the Y and the comma? And I know I sound like a really mean art critic or something, but sometimes you have to do that. When you apply skepticism, ask yourself, why is there a space between that and that? There shouldn't be. Most people would not put what looks like 3 to 4 spaces between the word valley and the comma. Also, I'm not even going to bother looking up what this is. They're referencing some random thing in Spokane or Spokane. I don't remember. I've actually been to this area. It's very pretty. But yeah, this is shady as hell. What else is there? My slideshow broke. My everything broke. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure this is working. I gotta make sure it's recording properly. Share screen. There it is. Okay. All right. So this is another obvious phishing scam. Here is another phishing scam. And this is good that I showed you this example because it shows phishing scams are more than just ludicrous offers of jobs, right? Here it says, you've been nominated for 2022. For what? I don't know. It says I've been nominated. It doesn't say for what. Notice the big gray banner at the top. That's the email address that was sent. So you think that the Gmail email addresses were bad? This is the email address that sent me this email. This. Via this. I don't know what any of that is. I think this is Georgia, like the country in the Caucasus. What is this? DMW45242 at EP. Like this is some. I would not touch this email with a 6-foot pole, right? And it says you've been nominated in 2021. Okay. Now, if we look at the body of this email, this is what it says. Please respond promptly to ensure your complete professional information is taken into consideration. Blah 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 blah. It's really vague. A lot of these emails will be vague. Notice every email I've shown you so far has been very vague. They make promises of things like jobs, nominations, whatever. And they say everything other than what the thing is actually. You know what I mean? It's like when you're writing an essay that you have nothing, you have no idea about, so you just write a bunch of BS, and so you fill up all 5 pages or whatever. I've done this so many times. That's why I'm saying it. But here, it's telling me I got nominated. I don't know what the nomination's for. It doesn't say anywhere. So the professional who's who, authoritative sources, confirm your nomination. There's no, what is this for, like a Nobel laureate? Like, what is this for? There's nothing in here that indicates what I'm being nominated for. Not to mention, this is pretty good grammatically, except here. This is how they spelled the word biographies. And I didn't catch that at first. And then I did, and I started laughing. Biographies.
The thing that I thought was in the beginning, it says it's been nominated for 2022, and then the brown box says 2021.
I didn't even. Incredible. Look at it. Okay. So clearly I'm doing something right. That was really good. I didn't even notice that. It's really clever. Yeah, it says 2022. This is 2021. And then this. This is, I could ignore all of the email. If I saw this, I'm out. I'm not even looking at it. Because this is an abomination. If you get a nomination from someone, it might be like, I don't know, something at nobel.org or something like that. Not this. This is like if you took a keyboard and slammed it against a desk a few times, right? So this is shady.
Why do they let these mistakes go by if they're so obvious?
Well, they don't. Gmail actually was smart enough to put this in spam. So the thing is, Gmail does not just delete them, because that could be bad for other reasons. If it thought something was spam and then just shot it into a fire, right? Just deleted it immediately. The issue there, what if you get an email that is really important and isn't spam, but Gmail thinks it is? Then you have issues. And this has happened before. Well, like I remember in undergrad, my friends would email professors and the professor would just not get their message because it would go to spam. That's why it's important that there's this intermediate force. There's this bucket called spam, and if you got a message from a peer, they say, hey, I emailed you like a week ago, did you get the email? And you didn't, it's probably because it got lodged in spam. Maybe Gmail thought it was spam, but it wasn't. So that's why it won't just shoot everything into the trash. It puts them in this helpful container. And if you want to, you can take a step in and look at these messages, and then maybe you'll find your message from your colleague amidst the pile of garbage. Yeah. So some of these can be legitimately nefarious. And so far, I mean, I think I'm pretty funny, right? This lecture has been pretty funny at some points, because like that was like hilariously bad. But this is legitimately evil. I mean, this is a screwed up scam. And I feel kind of passionately about that. So here, food stamp support. First of all, this is the title of the email. 195.154. What the hell is that? LFHHR? What is this? The email address foodstamp.support, no reply, ZPOFKFSKLYD.site. Weird, very weird. And not only that, gmail.mcsv.net. Let me tell you something. For those of you who are a little internet savvy, is this a Google URL? No. If this were a Google URL, here's how you'd be able to tell. First, the way you can tell if something is legitimately from a certain website. So for example, you're looking at a URL and you want to know it's actually from Google. That URL can be as long as you want. All that matters is where it says .com or .net or .org. That thing there, it'll say something .something. If it's from Google, it will say google.com. If it's from Wikipedia, it'll say wikipedia.org. So it could be a bunch of stuff before that, like it could be n.wiki.wikipedia.org, but that's legitimate because it ends in wikipedia.org. This is tricky. The actual address is mcsv.net, but they threw a Gmail in there to make you think it's Google. So that's a learned skill. But that's not even the red flag. This is the red flag. But what's really screwed up about this email is the exploitative nature of it. Here it says food stamp support. One food stamp notification for, doesn't say my name, you are eligible for assistance. Click here to view available funds. Now, the reason this is so morally depraved is because it is targeting people. Let's think about this. Okay, demographic. And I mean this not in a pejorative sense, but let's think about the socioeconomics. Somebody who is on food stamps has less time to familiarize themselves with the dangers of the internet, right? So this is unfortunately going to be a pretty effective scam. And it's screwed up. Targeting people who are on food stamps is just screwed up. It's a screwed up thing to do. So these emails can be legitimately nefarious and evil. Now, one last thing, we're going to end kind of soon here. By the way, a quick announcement: if you need tech help, I will be having that on Wednesday. So you're welcome to drop by at 2:30 if you don't want to sit for the lecture beforehand. But I'm ending at 2:30-ish today because I have a meeting at 3. Because of course I have a meeting at 3. I go to Cornell. But this says, what am I saying? This type of scam can go beyond emails. So what I've shown you has been in the realm of email addresses or emails, right? We've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly today. So we've seen, hey, do this clerical work and we'll give you a lot of money. We've seen, you've been nominated, and then didn't say what I've been nominated for. And then we've seen, again, morally decrepit things like, let me target people who are on food stamps. Now, this kind of thing, though, this core concept of pretending to be one thing when you're actually a scammer goes beyond email. So for example, when you search things on the internet, when you search things on Google, Yahoo, Bing, whatever you choose to use, you have to be extremely careful with what you're clicking. Now, I've been using the internet since I was a little kid. So I'm a little bit, I'm internet savvy. I mean, I literally like studying this, right? But like, that means when I look up something, it will show me, first result, it will show me the thing I'm looking for. But that's because I know how to avoid having your search engine get a little bit screwed up. So what do I mean by that? Every few months, I help my grandfather with his computer. I open his computer, and it's almost like, it's like a dentist appointment. Like I have to like scrub out like all like there's just like, oh God, Brandon, oh God, what is that? What is that? What is that? And then I wipe the sweat off my brow, step away from the computer, an hour later, I'm like, wow, good as new, right? And then 6 months later, after like, all right, Buffalo, all right, let's do this again, let's go. So in his case, what he ends up doing, not on purpose, is he will accidentally download random extensions onto his browser. So he will click a button or a picture or a link, and it's not like it's not even like, it's relative to other viruses that just go into your computer and send an email to every single one of your contacts. Those truly like bad viruses. It's not even as bad. All it's doing is adding a little add-on to his browser. But what that add-on will do is every time my grandfather Googles something, he will not see the first thing. The first thing will not be the legitimate thing he's looking for. It will be 5 pretenders, and then maybe an advertisement, and then the thing he's looking for. And this exacerbates the issue because the extension will cause pretenders to exist here. He will click on a pretender, the pretender will download an extension, the extension will then add more pretenders, so on and so forth. It's a vicious cycle. How do you avoid stuff like this? And you can see how this is similar to phishing, right? Same concept. So when I look up Zoom download, for example, and this is a big one because Zoom is big. It's a big thing to have nowadays, right? So when I look this up, my computer knows what it needs to do. I don't have any extensions like that. I'm very careful with it. I scrub my computer clean and I get paranoid, right? So now the first link is going to be Download Center Zoom. And I know it's legitimate because let's look at the URL. HTTPS zoom.us. That is the actual Zoom URL. We have google.com, yahoo.com, wikipedia.org, zoom.us. Zoom.us is the actual URL. It's good to go. Another one that's legitimate is the this source down here. So the first 2 results are both from zoom.us. It's good to go. Then down here, after some like tips, right, has my 3rd result. Here, I'm able to download it, I think, onto my phone. It's like if I had an Android, this would be the link I click. Zoom Cloud Meetings, apps on Google Play. So this would take you to the Android App Store, and you could download it onto your phone. This is a legitimate source, which is to say, this isn't what I'm looking for, because I'm not looking to download it for the Android, I'm looking to download it for the computer. So I'll go to this one. But it's not the end of the world if I click this one, because it's from google.com. Notice the thing at the end of the URL, something, that's what you pay attention to. Here, it's google.com. Good to go. So these first 3 results are good. And we know that because we look at the URL above the link. So how can we falsify this? Okay, let's think from the perspective of a scam. If you wanted somebody to download our shady whatever, our spyware or our adware, how could we use this? How could we abuse this system? Can someone tell me? Well, the way we could do that is through effectively a phishing scam. So this is further down in my search. This isn't the third, this isn't the first, second, or third result. This is like the 10th or 11th. Let's look at this. Download Zoom for Windows free. Notice it says free.
There's always money.
It involves money. A lot of the time, these scam websites that try to get you to download something that isn't what you're looking for will put free. They'll say, oh, it's a free download. It's free. They'll list the price, which is that it's free. Zoom is always free. If you download Zoom, it's not going to tell you, oh, this is free, by the way. Zoom is just free. They don't even tell you that. So here it says upfront, free. There's a discussion of money. Another thing, the biggest red flag is the URL. This is not zoom.us. This is downloads.digitaltrends.com. Who knows if they're legitimate? Maybe that's a legitimate website with bad moderation that allows sketchy software. So this could even be a virus-free website, but if you click on this link and download this version of Zoom, it could be something that screws up your computer. Or we look at this, onlinezoomappdownload.com. Again, not zoom.us. These are shady. You do not want to click something like this. And again, the way you look out for stuff like this is when you look up stuff on Google, Yahoo, Bing, whatever. You'll have the link, and above the link, or maybe to the side of the link, it will show you the URL. So you look at that URL, and it should end in something like zoom.us or google.com. It should end in the expected URL that you're trying to go for. Another thing, think about it. Zoom only needs one website to host their software. They host it on zoom.us. You go to zoom.us if you want to download Zoom and nowhere else. Why would they host it on multiple websites? Doesn't make any sense. So there's one legitimate source here, and it's zoom.us. Everyone else is effectively a pretend. Yeah.
Why is it not zoom.com?
I don't know. I think
That
Zoom.
was confused me.
No, yeah, I know. I thought it would have been zoom.com. I think it's zoom.us because originally it's from China or Japan or something. It's from a foreign country. So when they ported Zoom out to the United States, they made it so our version of Zoom is hosted
So
on
other
zoom.us.
companies can do that to make it say theoretically not.com.
Yep. Or like maybe you could have a pretender. You can have someone pretending to be Wikipedia. So instead of saying wikipedia.org, it'll say wikipedia.ru or Russia or wikipedia.co, which is Colombia. So those are the tiny little details you have to look for. But the big thing is look at the URL above the link. It doesn't match what you expect. Another thing, this is extremely helpful, is when you hover over buttons and links, your browser will tell you where that's going. So I took this screenshot in that nomination email, the one that you pointed out actually. So in that weird, stupid nomination email, I hovered my cursor. I did not click. Do not click, please. But you're allowed to hover, you know. So here, you can put your cursor over the thing without clicking on it. And at the bottom of your screen, your browser will tell you what that's pointing to. The fact that in order to to show you guys physically, in order to move my finger across this, I had to take 2 steps backwards. That means there's something weird going on. That is not legitimate. If this were legitimate, maybe you would point to, who knows, google.com, something simple, or a YouTube link. This is weird. And the link, this is the core part of the URL, right? You see something dot something at the very end. Struzum.us. So it's really helpful to hover your cursor, which is to say, take your mouse, place it on top of the object, but don't click. That's called hovering. So if you hover your cursor over an object, like a button or a link or a picture, because pictures can also be links, it will tell you at the bottom of the screen where that is pointing to. So if there's an email that says, hey, look at this funny video I just saw, and you hover your cursor over the link and it goes to a youtube.com link. I mean, I wouldn't click it because the YouTube video could be bad, but it's a YouTube video. So even if like the video is kind of weird, it's not going to download anything stupid on your computer. It's just YouTube. But if you hover over the link to this video and it's pointing to something like that, then there's something going on. So ultimately, it's very important to be careful, put on your detective hat, and apply a healthy dose of skepticism. Who is sending the email? Look at that email address. If it's coming from somebody at your workplace, does the email address end with the name of your organization? So for example, if I'm getting an email from a Cornell professor, does it say cornell.edu? Are there frequent grammatical errors? And this isn't a guarantee. You won't always get phishing emails that have grammar errors in them. But sometimes there's a lot, like a lot, where it's clear somebody is pretending to be in some kind of like American enterprise when they're actually based somewhere in like Europe or who knows where, right? So grammatical errors can be a red flag, especially in emails that are supposedly urgent. If an email is urgent, they will use formal language. They will not include grammatical mistakes unless they were in a big hurry or something like that. Grammar errors, or even weird spacing, like putting a space between a $sign and the numerical amount, a little weird. So watch for things like that. Are there obvious offers of money? Is money a factor? Are they offering you money? Are they asking you for money? Are they saying, hey, if you use Western Union to wire this number $200, then we can unlock an account and next week we'll give you 10,000. That's weird. They're asking you for money or they're offering you money. Somewhere down the line, they're stealing it from you, probably. Sometimes they'll be very threatening. I actually, for this presentation, I excluded some of the spam that I got. I got some kind of very scary emails, but I know they're full of, they're not real. I don't reply to them, but you will get phishing emails that are anything between here's a friendly job offer to here's a scary threatening email. But oftentimes money is a factor. Send us this money. Here is this money. When legitimate sources are talking about money, they will apply a lot more tact. They're a lot more reluctant to talk about money. Is the email threatening? Again, you're not going to get an offer. You're not going to get an email from United Airlines that's like threatening, right? And all the questions above this one and anything else that you can ask yourself about phishing, the core thing to keep in mind, how is this email pretending to be something it's not? If you can step into the shoes of the attacker and think from their perspective, how could I trick the user into thinking this is legitimate? Step into their shoes. Think about the tricks you would employ in a situation like that. It helps a lot. Insecurity, generally speaking, it's always very helpful to have, an adversarial perspective or something like that. Yeah, an intuition. Think, if I were trying to scam me, how would I disguise my email? So that is today's lecture. It's all recorded, as always. Does anybody have any questions?
Next week when you're free, could we apply this to texting?
Texting. Honestly, this is a lot of the same concepts are important in texting. So in texting is a tiny bit of a different game. So like, if someone messages you a link,
Yeah, how do you know it's going to be a good link?
well, you should apply skepticism. You think about the message. If the message says, "Hey, watch this YouTube
It's from
video,"
somebody in my family or something.
then it's you probably. Now there are chances where I saw maybe a few days ago a cousin in Colombia, like a cousin of mine from Colombia, got hacked and then emailed every single one of her Facebook contacts, not emailed, sorry, messaged every single Facebook contact. Is this you? Is this a video of you? And then it goes to some random BS website on the internet, which is a scam. So unfortunately, her Facebook got hacked. But then she messaged me a fraudulent message, unfortunately from the account of a cousin. So you still gotta be careful. Yeah. Any other questions?
When you said you had to scrub your grandfather's.
Yeah,
computer
yeah,
Because he had those extensions.
yes.
I think I have them.
I would, if you wanna, Mondays, 2:30 to 3, I do tech help. I would love to sit down and try to
Oh,
scrub
okay.
your computer.
2:30 to 3:30 on Mondays.
2:30 to 3, I have tech help. Today I'm not doing that because I have to go to a meeting, but yeah. I'll do that on Wednesday. It's this week, Wednesday.
Good.
I will have half an hour of tech help from 2:30 to 3 if you're interested,
Okay.
Thank you.
for sure.
Very good. So here's what to begin. I don't have a computer, all I have is my cell phone, so.
That might decomplicate things.